Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt close to someone? I'm not talking about a quick hug or a passing kiss. I mean that deep, warm feeling of being seen, of being wanted, and of being truly loved. As we get older, society has a way of telling us that intimacy is no longer important, that somehow, after a certain age, we are supposed to stop caring about touch, about connection, about desire. But here's the truth. That part of you, the part that longs for closeness, does not retire. It does not fade away. It grows, it deepens, and it becomes more meaningful than ever before. In this video, we are going to explore what intimacy in your later years really looks like. We will talk about the science behind it, the emotional depth of it, and the common challenges that come with it. But more than anything, we are going to talk about how to fully embrace this beautiful, powerful part of life, not just because it is possible, but because you deserve it. So stay with me until the end, because I am going to share one powerful truth that could completely change how you think about sex, connection, and love in your golden years. 1. The myth of too old for intimacy. Let's be honest. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught, either directly or silently, that intimacy has an expiration date. That after a certain age, it is no longer normal to crave closeness, desire, or even romantic touch. We are told that sex is for the young, that aging somehow takes us out of the conversation. And so, slowly, many older adults stop asking for affection. They stop reaching out. Some even begin to believe that it is selfish or inappropriate to still want to be held, kissed, or desired. But here's the truth, and I want you to hear this clearly. That idea is not only outdated, it is completely false. There is no age at which you stop being human. And being human means needing connection. It means needing warmth, closeness, tenderness, and yes, desire. You see, intimacy is not just about physical acts. It is about emotional safety. It is about knowing someone cares for you deeply, that you are not invisible, that you are still seen, still felt, and still wanted. In fact, as we grow older, the emotional side of intimacy often becomes even more important. We may no longer chase the excitement or intensity we once did in our youth. But what replaces it is something even more powerful: comfort, trust, and depth. The truth is, many people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond report having some of the most fulfilling, intimate relationships of their lives. Why? Because at this stage, intimacy becomes less about performance and more about presence. It is not about trying to impress someone. It is about sharing yourself. And that, my friend, is beautiful. I want to be very clear. If you have ever felt embarrassed or ashamed for still wanting physical or emotional intimacy at your age, please know this: there is nothing wrong with you. In fact, that desire is not only natural, it is healthy. In our later years, we may be more thoughtful. We may move more slowly. But that does not mean we lose the capacity to feel deep connection. In fact, we may feel it more clearly than ever before. Our culture tends to ignore this part of aging, but that doesn't mean we have to. You deserve to feel close to someone. You deserve to feel wanted. And you deserve to know that love, affection, and even passion are still part of your story. So let's start here. Let's tear down the old myth that says intimacy belongs only to the young. Let's rewrite that story together. Because the truth is, the later chapters of your life can hold some of the deepest, most meaningful connections you will ever experience, if you're willing to let them in. 2. What science really says. Now that we've begun to let go of the myth that aging means the end of intimacy, let's turn to something many people overlook: the actual science. Because the truth is, medical research and psychological studies are telling us something loud and clear. Maintaining intimacy in later life is not only possible, it is incredibly good for your health. Let's start with the basics. When we talk about intimacy, many people think only of physical acts. But researchers have found that regular intimate connection, whether that means sex, cuddling, kissing, or simply meaningful touch, can have a powerful effect on both your physical and emotional well-being. For example, did you know that sexual activity in older adults has been linked to better heart health? Studies show that even occasional intimacy can help improve blood flow, reduce blood pressure, and keep your cardiovascular system functioning more effectively. It doesn't have to be intense or frequent, just consistent enough to keep your body engaged and connected. And it doesn't stop there. Sexual activity, and the closeness that comes with it, has also been shown to release important chemicals in the brain like endorphins and oxytocin. These are your natural feel-good hormones. They help reduce stress, lift your mood, and even ease physical pain. Many older adults who stay physically connected with a partner report better sleep, less anxiety, and a stronger sense of emotional resilience. But perhaps one of the most surprising findings comes from studies on cognitive health. That's right, intimacy can support your brain. Some research suggests that regular sexual activity may help maintain memory and cognitive function by stimulating areas of the brain responsible for learning, emotion, and focus. In short, intimacy isn't just helping your body, it's helping your mind stay active and alert. There's also a growing body of research that shows a strong connection between intimacy and mental health in older adults. In fact, older individuals who report being sexually active tend to have lower levels of depression, less loneliness, and higher overall life satisfaction. It is not about being sexual in the way media often portrays. It's about feeling connected, wanted, and emotionally close to another human being. One study even found that older adults who engaged in sex at least once a week were more likely to rate their lives and relationships as satisfying. But, and this is important, other participants who were intimate less frequently still reported high levels of emotional fulfillment. Why? Because it is not about how often you connect. It is about how deeply you feel that connection when it happens. Science continues to show that there is no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to intimacy. What matters most is that it feels meaningful and comfortable for you and your partner. So, if anyone has ever told you that intimacy is less important as you age, feel free to tell them, politely of course, that science says otherwise. The truth is, your body, your heart, and your mind all benefit when you stay connected, and those benefits can continue to grow with time. 3. It's not about frequency, it's about fulfillment. Now let's talk about one of the most common questions people ask when it comes to intimacy in later life. How often should I be having sex? It's a question rooted in curiosity, comparison, and sometimes even worry. Maybe you have wondered if once a month is too little, or if you and your partner should be doing it more often, or if you're simply not normal. Well, let me put your mind at ease. There is no single number, no universal schedule, and certainly no rule book for how often older adults should be having sex. What matters more than how often you're intimate is how fulfilling that intimacy feels. Let me explain. In our younger years, intimacy is often tied to performance, to expectations, pressure, and sometimes even competition. But as we get older, we have the beautiful opportunity to redefine what intimacy means on our own terms. Some couples find joy in being physically intimate once a week. Others may feel just as satisfied with once a month. And some may focus more on emotional closeness, holding hands, cuddling on the couch, sharing a long, quiet moment in bed, without the need for intercourse. Every one of these expressions is valid, Every one of them is meaningful. You see, fulfillment comes from connection, not from counting how many times something happens. There's a wonderful study that explored sexual satisfaction in adults over the age of 65. It found that those who were sexually active once a week reported higher levels of happiness. Yes, but those who were intimate less frequently still reported strong emotional bonds and satisfying relationships. The conclusion? It's not about matching someone else's pace. It's about honoring your own. This is your life, your relationship, your rhythm. If you and your partner feel close, supported, and happy, then that's what matters most. Not what anyone else says or what the magazines or television shows portray. Your intimacy is yours to define. Now, if you and your partner do feel a disconnection or a mismatch in desire, that's worth exploring gently, not with blame, but with openness and love. Communication is often the bridge between uncertainty and deeper closeness. Simply saying, "I miss feeling close to you," can open the door to an honest, healing conversation. And remember, as we age, intimacy often becomes less about the act and more about the connection it brings. When you strip away performance pressure, what's left is something deeper: emotional safety, shared vulnerability, and real presence. So whether you're holding each other every night or rediscovering intimacy once in a while, whether your connection is tender, playful, quiet, or passionate, what matters is that it feels right for you. Fulfillment is not measured by frequency. It's measured by how seen, how safe, and how loved you feel in those moments. If you feel that with your partner, then you're already exactly where you need to be. 4. The emotional side of intimacy. Let's take a moment and step away from the physical side of intimacy. Because while touch and closeness matter, there's something even more powerful beneath the surface, and that is the emotional side of intimacy. You see, in our younger years, intimacy often starts with excitement. There is passion, attraction, the thrill of discovery. But with age comes a new kind of closeness, one that's not driven by urgency, but by depth. It's quieter, it's slower, but it's also richer, more meaningful, and deeply comforting. At this stage in life, intimacy becomes less about performance and more about presence. It's not about impressing someone, it's about truly being with them. It's about knowing that the person beside you understands you, sees you for who you are, and still chooses you. Wrinkles, history, imperfections, and all. Emotional intimacy is what makes love feel safe. It's what allows us to be vulnerable, to speak openly, to share fears or insecurities, to express needs without shame. When you have that kind of connection with someone, it changes everything. Suddenly, a touch means more. A look says more. A quiet moment in the same room becomes something sacred, and this emotional bond, this spiritual closeness, has a profound effect on your well-being. Studies show that people in emotionally intimate relationships experience lower levels of anxiety and depression. They report feeling more secure, more grounded, and more joyful in their daily lives. Why? Because emotional intimacy reminds us that we're not alone, that we matter, that we are loved, not for what we do, but for who we are. Let me say that again. You are loved, not for what you do, but for who you are. That's especially important in a world that can make older adults feel invisible. As the years pass, it can be easy to feel left out, overlooked, or even forgotten. But emotional intimacy pushes back against all of that. It says, "You still matter to me. I still see you. I still choose you." And here's something beautiful. Many older couples say that their emotional connection has only grown stronger over time. Why? Because they've been through life together. They've weathered challenges, raised families, experienced losses, and shared victories. That shared history creates a kind of love that's hard to describe but deeply felt. At this point in life, sex often becomes less about the act and more about the meaning behind it. It's about expressing tenderness, about reinforcing a bond, about saying, "We're still in this together." Even something as simple as holding hands, lying side by side, or exchanging soft words at night can carry more emotional weight than anything grand or dramatic. So if you've ever felt like the passion in your relationship has changed, that's okay. In fact, it's natural. Passion doesn't disappear. It evolves, and often it turns into something more lasting: connection, trust, and peace. Emotional intimacy is the foundation that supports physical closeness, and it's never too late to build more of it. You can start today with a kind word, a heartfelt compliment, or a quiet conversation. These little acts of emotional connection create space for love to grow, no matter your age. So yes, intimacy in your later years may look different, but different doesn't mean less. It often means more. More honesty, more gentleness, more appreciation, and if you let it, more love than you've ever known before. 5. Common challenges and gentle solutions. By now, we've talked about how meaningful and fulfilling intimacy can be in our later years. But let's be honest, it doesn't always come easy. Many older adults face real, sometimes frustrating challenges when it comes to staying physically or emotionally connected, and that's okay. It's completely normal. The key is not to ignore these challenges or feel ashamed of them. The key is to understand them with kindness and find gentle, respectful ways to work through them together. Let's begin with the physical. As we age, our bodies change. That's simply part of life. You may feel more stiffness in your joints, experience fatigue more easily, or deal with conditions like arthritis, back pain, or heart concerns. These physical changes can make certain types of intimacy more difficult or uncomfortable. But here's the good news. Discomfort doesn't have to mean disconnection. There are many ways to adapt. For example, choosing different positions that require less movement or strain, such as lying side by side or sitting upright, can help reduce physical pressure while still allowing closeness. Using pillows for support, taking more time with foreplay, or keeping the pace slow and relaxed can make a big difference. Intimacy doesn't have to look the way it did years ago. It can evolve and still be just as meaningful. Another common issue for many older women is vaginal dryness, often due to hormonal changes from menopause. This can cause discomfort during sex, and unfortunately, many women suffer in silence. But you don't have to. There are plenty of over-the-counter lubricants and vaginal moisturizers that can ease this issue. And if you're unsure where to start, speaking with your doctor can help you find safe, effective options. For men, erectile dysfunction is another concern that can cause anxiety or embarrassment. Again, it's common and treatable. There are many medical and lifestyle solutions available, from medication to therapy to simply shifting the focus away from performance and back to connection. Now, let's talk about the emotional side of these challenges. As we age, many of us struggle with body image. Maybe you've gained weight. Maybe you have scars, wrinkles, or feel less attractive than you used to. It's easy to fall into self-judgment, but I want to remind you, you are not your appearance. You are not your past. You're a whole, worthy, beautiful person. And the person who loves you likely sees more beauty in you now than ever before. Still, these thoughts can be difficult. That's why communication is so important. Sharing how you feel with your partner, gently and honestly, can deepen trust. You might be surprised by how comforting their response can be. Sometimes, just saying, "I feel a little unsure about my body right now," can open a door to a conversation that brings you closer. Stress is another factor that can quietly affect intimacy. Maybe you're caregiving for a spouse or managing health appointments, finances, or other life responsibilities. All of this takes a toll. And when we're exhausted emotionally or mentally, desire often fades. Again, this doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It means you're human. In times like these, it helps to step back and focus on small, loving moments. A warm hand on the shoulder, a gentle hug, a shared laugh. These simple acts can rekindle connection, even if you're not feeling ready for physical intimacy just yet. And if you're carrying deeper burdens like sadness, anxiety, or loss, please know that help is available. Speaking to a therapist or counselor is not a sign of weakness. It's a courageous act of care. Sometimes, giving yourself space to heal emotionally opens up the heart for more intimacy later. The truth is, challenges will come. But so will solutions, especially when both partners are committed to kindness, patience, and staying connected in whatever way works best. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, willing, and open. And when you are, intimacy becomes not only possible, it becomes deeply healing. 6. How to rekindle the flame. Maybe it has been a while since you and your partner were intimate. Maybe life got busy, or health concerns took over, or you simply drifted into a routine where connection slipped to the side. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you are not alone. And more importantly, it is never too late to reconnect. The flame doesn't need to burn like fireworks to be real. Sometimes, it's the quiet, steady warmth of a campfire that brings the most comfort. Rekindling intimacy is not about going back in time. It's about moving forward together, with love, curiosity, and care. So, how do you begin? Start small. Intimacy is not always about grand gestures. Sometimes, it starts with something as simple as making eye contact a little longer than usual. Holding your partner's hand while watching television. Sitting together in silence with no distractions. These moments create a kind of closeness that doesn't need words, but speaks volumes. Try planning what I like to call connection time. This can be a quiet walk, a shared meal, or even lying in bed for a few extra minutes in the morning. You don't need to label it or put pressure on it. Just make space for being together. Often, these little windows of time help rebuild emotional intimacy, which naturally leads to more physical closeness down the line. Touch is also powerful. A gentle shoulder rub, a kiss on the forehead, a soft touch on the arm as you pass in the hallway. These gestures may seem small, but they remind both of you that affection is still alive and welcome. Another beautiful way to reconnect is through memory. Talk about your first dates, the way you used to dance in the kitchen, that trip you took years ago where you laughed until your sides hurt. These shared stories bring back feelings of joy, attraction, and unity, and they often stir up the desire to create new moments together. You can also explore new ways of being intimate. Sometimes, later in life, it helps to approach each other with fresh eyes. You might try something you've never done before. Whether it's a massage, a romantic playlist, or even writing a love note. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be present. To say, I still care and I still want this with you. And if fear or awkwardness shows up, that's okay too. Trying to reconnect after a long pause can feel vulnerable. You might worry about rejection or feel unsure about how to begin. But the truth is, your partner might be feeling the same way. Sometimes, it just takes one person to open the door. You could say something like, I miss being close to you, or I've been thinking about how much I enjoy our time together, and I'd love to find more of that. These are gentle, open invitations to reconnect, without pressure or expectation. Remember, intimacy doesn't have to be spontaneous to be real. In fact, planning for it can be incredibly meaningful. You can light a candle, turn on some soft music, and create a moment that's just for the two of you. Slowness, tenderness, and intention often lead to a deeper kind of closeness than rushing ever could. Most importantly, be patient with yourself and with your partner. Rekindling a flame takes time, especially if you've gone through illness, loss, or emotional distance. But if there's love and a willingness to try, that flame can absolutely return. And when it does, it might surprise you. Because what you find won't be the spark of youth. It will be something wiser, something warmer, something built on years of shared life and love. So now, after everything we have talked about, the myths, the science, the emotional depth, the challenges, and the ways to reconnect, here is what I hope stays with you most. You are not past your time. You are right on time. And this stage of life, it is not the end of intimacy. It is a new beginning. Too often, aging is painted as a story of decline, of losing things, energy, appearance, opportunity. But the truth is, there are things you gain with time: patience, wisdom, emotional depth, and perhaps most importantly, a clearer understanding of what really matters: connection, kindness, honesty, and love that is real. The kind of intimacy you can experience now is not driven by pressure or performance. It is not about proving anything. It is about being fully present with someone who knows you and loves you exactly as you are. That kind of love is rare. That kind of closeness is a gift, and it is something that many people spend a lifetime searching for. If you have it, hold it gently, nurture it, speak to it, make time for it, and if it has faded, do not lose hope. It can be found again, slowly, tenderly, and with care. There is no rule book that says you must be intimate a certain number of times a week. There is no need to compare yourself to anyone else. What matters is that you and your partner feel connected, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in a way that feels honest and fulfilling. And if you are not in a relationship right now, or if you've lost a partner, please remember, intimacy takes many forms. It can be found in friendship, in gentle touch, in laughter shared across a table, or in a quiet moment of reflection where you truly feel at peace with yourself. You still deserve love. You still deserve tenderness. You still deserve to feel wanted, seen, and valued, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You are not invisible. You are not broken. You're not too late. You're beautifully, wonderfully human. And your desire for connection, in whatever form it takes, is something to be honored, not hidden.